What's going on, everybody? Jade here, bringing you another Diablo 3 patch 2.2 video, this time showcasing the Witch Doctor. Now, the Carnevil build has been around a while, based around the helm that your fetishes shoot a poison dart every time you do, and the dagger of darts, to where your poison darts and your fetish's poison darts now pierce. Now, this has been pretty huge, because they've gradually upgraded stuff to bring the pet Witch Doctor into play, but it just quite hasn't been there. But a recent change to the Zunimassa set has changed everything. And I'll go over the gear here real quick, at least the set bonuses, then I'll show you the skills. Your fetish army lasts until they die. That's been around for a while. That's always good to have and very important. They added a few new Zunimassa pieces in the pants and the gloves. You will need those to be able to run this build to its maximum potential. So keep that in mind. The 4-piece bonus. You and your pets take 2% less damage for every fetish you have alive. So that's really good in the sense that, pets could only last up to such a high greater rift until they started to die. This gives you and your pet a little bit more toughness. The big change is the 6-piece bonus. Enemies you hit with your mana spenders take 275% more damage from your pets for 4 seconds. This finally encourages you to run a mana spending skill, where for forever now you never have. I'm going to go over the skills for you here real quick, and then I'll show you the gear as far as what you can put together, and then I'll go over the Paragon points, and I'll show you a little bit of gameplay as well to show you exactly what I mean in terms of how effective this now is. Piranhas with Piranado, Poison Dart with Snake to the Face, Acid Cloud with Acid Rain, Fetish Army with Legion of Daggers, Spirit Walk with Jaunt, Summon Zombie Dogs with Rabid Dogs, and for your passives, Graven Justice, Pierce the Veil, Spirit Vessel, and Fetish Sycophants. Now, I'll go over the skills here, and then a couple of alternatives you can go with. Now, Piranhas with Piranado is going to bring everything into a central area when you cast it. Now, this is important because when you're shooting your darts and all your fetishes are shooting your darts, it's going to be important to be able to have one focused area to be able to attack. That's a good way. It also makes for good crowd control as well. That's a nice thing to have there. Poison Dart with Snake to the Face. This says the snake has a 35% chance to stun the enemy for 1.5 seconds. This is going to be your main Poison Dart skill, which is probably going to be the most effective because it's going to be stunning stuff every so often, so it's good to be able to have a little bit of crowd control there. Now, for the mana spender, you could technically go any direction you want to go, and that's fine. The reason we're picking Acid Rain is because it increases the initial area of effect of Acid Rain Cloud, or the Acid Cloud, to 24 yards. That's a huge spread, and you can actually see just how wide that is. You want to be able to tag stuff with your mana spender and then go right back, because all of your most of your damage is going to be coming from you and your fetishes. Now we'll cast the fetishes, you can see what we're talking about. And now they're all shooting darts. So you want to be able to cast something, get everything grouped up in an area, and then just unleash hell with the poison darts. Now keep in mind, as you bring in your pointer, you can see the spread gets wider, and if you want to be able to attack a focused area, you just hold your mouse there. So keep that in mind if you have a wide group of enemies or not. But you're going to be able to crowd control, splash them, and then go crazy with things. It's really nice to be able to keep in there, so keep that in mind. Spirit Walk with Jaunt. This is a little bit of a change, so for those of you folks that have been around a while, you're going to notice this right away, especially when you're using this. Jaunt just allows us to spirit walk a little bit longer. This gets us out of some tricky situations. You don't take damage while you're spirit walking, so that's really nice to have. And you can run through the walls from the elites and stuff like that, so that's a good thing to have. Now, the part about this is that you'll see in the yellow text there, this ability does not start its cooldown until after its effects expire. Now, that's a big change because it used to be on cooldown right away. In running something like Graven Justice, you were able to sometimes, depending on the density and how fast you were killing things, have permanent spirit walk or close to it in certain situations. That's a big change. It seems a little bit more reasonable, although that'll be a big change that you notice. Now, here's one that you can probably go a couple of different directions with. I'm using Summon Zombie Dogs with Rabid Dogs. You could easily go with Leeching Beast to be able to heal at the same time, but this you don't necessarily need since your toughness is going to be a lot higher with the 4-piece bonus there. So one of the things that you can do is kind of go old school with this and go Big Bad Voodoo with Slam Dance. This increases the damage of all nearby allies by 30%. This is huge. Plus you get the movement speed and the attack speed bonus there as well. And that's a nice damage increase for 20 seconds. And you should be fairly familiar with this. It's a huge area. You can run around and you'll see the buff there. So it's very nice to have. The increased attack speed obviously is great because the faster you attack, your pets are attacking with you and they're going to be doing huge numbers. Obviously the increased damage is pretty important as well. Now this going into the passives, revolving around something like Big Bad Voodoo or even Piranhas or Spirit Walk, Grave Injustice. Now it's not so much a necessity to have Big Bad Voodoo around all the time. If you're going into high greater rifts, you're probably going to need that to be able to get your max potential. If you're running something like T6 content, you can probably go any other direction there that you want. Have a little bit of fun with that skill slot. Now, gain 1% of your max life and mana, and reduce the cost of all, or the cooldown of all of your skills by 1 second when an enemy dies within 20 yards. So this is important for stuff like your Big Bad Voodoo, your Spirit Walk, and your Piranhas to be able to get your crowd control, your run to safety, and your big damage increase there. If you don't like something like this, you can go any number of directions. If you find you're having trouble staying alive, Jungle Fortitude is great. Gruesome Feast is great if you're running certain stuff, and this can help you increase your intelligence, which overall increases your damage. There's a couple of really nice options there, so you can go with the cooldown reduction if you feel you're going to get a little bit more out of that. You can go with Gruesome Feast if you just want pure damage increase, or you can go with Jungle Fortitude if you're looking for a little bit more survivability, if you just like playing a little bit more casual. Obviously, the higher the damage, the higher greater rift, but the higher risk as well. Pierce the Veil. All of your damage is increased by 20%, but your mana costs are increased by 30%. Since your main attack is a non-mana spender, and you're only going to be casting Acid Cloud every so often, it's okay to run with this to get the pure damage increase because your pets are going to benefit greatly from that. Spirit Vessel, this is great because this is basically your extra life, and you get this every 90 seconds. You'll go into, a different mode, and you'll be able to go. The other thing is it reduces the cooldown of your Spirit Walk and other skills if you're running them by 2 seconds. So it's a really nice thing to have there. It is just a great survivability tool. Fetish Sycophants, when you hit enemies with your spells, you have up to a 15% chance to summon a dagger-wielding fetish to fight by your side for 60 seconds. So that's always nice, and that will actually show up at the top there. Keep in mind that there is a new belt out there to where when you hit with a mana spender, it actually summons a Fetish Sycophant. So if you like running with something like that, you can take this passive off and maybe run with Gruesome Feast there. There's a lot of different options you can run with. Now, as far as pure damage goes, you're probably going to want a Witching Hour here. However, I've got a Hellcat Waist Guard, and I'm okay with that for a couple of reasons, and I'll go over that here in just 1 second. Now, for the gear, it's going to be pretty specific in terms of most of the pieces that you're going to need, so we'll go over those. Now, obviously, you're going to need the Carnevil helm, which, again, your fetishes shoot a poison dart every time you do, so it's good to keep that in mind. And then the Dagger of Darts, your poison darts and your fetishes poison darts now appear, so that'll do well, and those are pretty much necessities to make this work. Now, the other pieces that really make this thing go is the new Zunimassa pieces. Now, I went over that a minute ago in terms of the set bonuses, but they added 2 new pieces with the gloves and the pants, and you're going to need these. You won't need the Tasker and Theos or anything like that because they're going to be attacking when you do. So, in order to have that, you need the chest, gloves, pants, boots, and offhand of the Zunimassa set in order to achieve that 6-piece bonus by being able to have the flexibility to run stuff in other places to be able to maximize the potential of this build. Now, for your gloves, crit damage, crit chance, and attack speed is really nice, and then obviously your intelligence. For your chest piece, int, vitality, and fetish army damage is nice to roll on there. For your pants, now here's one spot where you can actually roll poison dart damage, and it's very important that you do so because you're going to benefit greatly from this, is having it on your pants. You can also roll it on your belt and your offhand, which we'll get to in a second. Your boots, you're going to be okay with int, vitality, armor, and then all resistances after that. If not, having armor above all resistances is more important as a Witch Doctor, so keep that in mind if you're trying to figure out what to roll. Now, the new Zunimassa offhand rolls by default 20 to 25% fetish army damage, which is great, but you're going to benefit more if you are playing the Carnevil build by running poison dart damage. So keep that in mind. If you want to roll it properly, you're going to have to roll that off if you want to be able to get max potential on there. So keep that in mind. The other place you can roll poison dart damage is your belt, and that's why I said I'm running the Hellcat. Now the Hellcat by default is going to roll increased attack speed, increased elite damage, and intelligence. Well, generally those two, but intelligence is going to be on there for this character. Now, instead of vitality, running something like poison dart damage is good. Now, unfortunately, the witching hour that I had is rolled from another character. It's got a decent roll, but ideally you'd like to have on your witching hour int poison dart damage, increased attack speed, and crit damage. So keep that in mind when you're rolling your belt. For your shoulders and bracers, you're going to make use of the Aughilds, which can be crafted over at the blacksmith, having int vitality and either life or armor there, and then fetish army damage can roll here. Having that on there is very, very nice. Coupling that with the bracers, you want to have a pair of poison skills because you're going to be doing poison darts there. So keep that in mind. If you go with a different rune and you want to try something different, adjust your element accordingly, but having poison, int, vit, and crit on there is really, really nice. Now, for your amulet, if you have a really nicely rolled Hellfire, that's going to be great because you can benefit from another passive. Like I said, if you had Fetish Sycophants or Gruesome Feast or anything on there, it's going to benefit greatly. Or some type of damage mitigating amulet there that's going to either, completely null, fire, arcane, or any of those are all going to be nice options. For your rings, the Ring of Royal Grandeur is important to have here. Now, if you don't have a Unity, but you have a Zunimassa's ring, you can run that in place and then run something other than the Ring of Royal Grandeur, like some type of Stone of Jordan or any other damage dealing ring there. The reason we're using the Ring of Royal Grandeur is so that we can run the Unity on the other hand. Having a Unity on you and on your follower is very important when you're gearing up. Now for your legendary gems, your Gogok, Enforcer, and Simplicity Strength gem are all very important. Your Enforcer increases your pet's damage and helps reduce damage that they take. Your Simplicity Strength gem is pretty much, an absolute necessity. This increases the damage of your primary skills, and your pets are going to benefit from that as well. And that's also going to heal you every time it hits as well. The Gogok is one that if you need some type of damage mitigation or something, you can go with that. But like I said, the more you attack, the more your pets attack. So it's important to keep the Gogoks on there because you're going to gain increased attack speed, which can stack up to 15 times, so you'll get that. And once at level 25, you'll get that extra cooldown reduction as well. So keep that in mind. Now for the Paragon points, movement speed moving into the rest intelligence. For your offense, crit damage, crit hit chance, and then if you like to have the cooldown reduction for your Big Bad Voodoo and your Piranhas and your Spirit Walk, you can have that there. Else increased attack speed is not a bad option for this build. Defense, armor, life, resist all, and then life regen. And then utility, having life on hit is important here. Area damage. Now, if you're running high greater rifts, you'll probably run with resource cost reduction. You're not going to be using Acid Cloud too much to deplete yourself, but I was running something before this. So those three are going to be more important, obviously, in greater rifts before Goldfind ever comes around. That's it, guys. That is the updated Carnevil build. I'm going to show you some gameplay if you want to stick around for that. If you are cutting off here and you like the build and you like the video, feel free to hit that like button because that is always appreciated. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of things, and I'll show you the numbers, what they look like before you start hitting, and what they look like after you start hitting between a mana spender. Which, the other thing I think I'll cover is also, Piranhas also counts as a mana spender, so it's good to start off with that, and then also Acid Cloud, so we'll go over that. I'm going to go ahead and take Fetish Sycophants off and run with something like Gruesome Feast, at least for the time being. I want to be able to show you the pure numbers strictly from the Fetish army, so you can see exactly how the damage works. And we'll go in here and I'll show you what it looks like when you attack before you hit with a mana spender and what it looks like after. And you're going to see the damages 7, 8, 9 million in there. Now, like I said, and there's a 10 million, but once you hit with something like a mana spinner, and we can actually use our Piranhas, now you're seeing 30, 40, almost 50 million crits just with the gear that we have set up. And then these that weren't hit, you can see they all go back down to 11, 9%. I got a few stacks of Gruesome Feast there. So you can see that the damage increase from Gruesome Feast is nice. But more importantly, you're going to see the damage there. And you can see it's quite effective before you hit with any mana spender. But the minute you go in here, and let's say your Piranhas is on cooldown, you can go, like I said, having everything grouped up is going to help immensely. You can hit with your Acid Cloud while that's on cooldown. and be able to just run through and do a ton of damage. If you're just looking to go fast, you can easily just run through, pop a couple darts, and then just keep moving along. So keep that in mind. Also, you're going to see the Gogok stack there as well. That's good to keep there because you're getting the extra increased attack speed, which means more darts is more damage. So keep that in mind when you're going through. This can take you quite a bit higher than ever before. That 275% damage bonus is huge once you get into greater rifts. Now, going through here, like I said, I've shown you without hitting them with any type of mana spender that you can still knock stuff down pretty quickly. But there's a huge damage increase there. So keep that in mind when you're going in there. Now, like I said, you can easily run with Fetish Sycophants to be able to get more. They're not going to do quite as much damage as your Fetish army, but obviously they're going to be shooting darts too, so it's going to be very important to have that in there. And here is, and you can see the big chunks coming out of there. And I think I had a few Fetishes still frozen from all those ice cubes, but you can clearly see the difference, clearly see the damage, and you put that into perspective. You have 8 Fetish army Fetishes out, and they're each critting for 40 to 50 million damage times 8, and you're talking about 320 per shot, plus the little bit of damage you're doing. Then you add in the Fetish Sycophants, and you're going to be doing even more damage after that. So keep that in mind, that when you do run that, you can easily choose what direction you want to go. And here's just an option of how quickly things go down. And obviously, if I had the Sycophants up, they would have went down in probably 1 or 2 shots or less. So there you can see a little bit of how things go with the new Carnevil update. So hopefully you guys are going to enjoy this. I know a lot of people were big fans of the Carnevil build in 2.1.2, especially after a lot of the changes. It's gotten even better. The Zunimassa set now opens up a lot of possibilities. You can go with any type of mana spender here. I know different people are going with different things here, but if you're looking to cover a large area, this is really good to go. I've seen a couple of other options out there as well, and you can go with those however you want. This one I know actually stays in place and does damage over time, but that's also going to take away from your time of casting darts. But if you're looking to kind of maximize your damage, that might be a way to go as well. So keep that in mind as you're choosing your skills. But you can literally choose any mana spender you want. But to be the most effective and most efficient, you'll probably want to go with something that hits pretty much everything in a wide radius all at once. And then you can just rain down your darts as needed. So keep that in mind. So that's it, guys. That's the build, and that is the gear and everything you need to know about the new Carnevil update. And hopefully this will be carrying you into much higher, greater rifts than you were ever used to before, playing as a pet witch doctor. It's a good time to be a witch doctor right now, guys. So hopefully you're enjoying that. There's still the Jade out there. I'm going to go over. There's been some minor changes. I'll have some other videos out there, so you can look for those as well. I appreciate you guys watching as always. Like I said, if you like the build, if you like the video, be sure and hit that like button below, because that is always appreciated. And if you're looking for more Diablo content in the future, be sure and subscribe as well. I appreciate you guys watching. Till next time, happy hunting. See you again.